All right, hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at candied pecans. Now this is something that's really big with my family in the fall and in the winter. And here we are just after Thanksgiving. So I've made my pecan pies. I've got pecans all over the place. So we're going to go ahead and candy some of them. It makes a nice little treat throughout the season. So we're going to start by mixing up our dry ingredients together. So we have half a cup of white granulated sugar, and we have half a cup of packed brown sugar. And I left it in the measuring cup so you can see that when you measure brown sugar, make sure you pack it in there. It doesn't flow as easily as the granulated sugar, so you do need to pack it in there to make sure you get the full half cup. So there's my half cup of brown sugar. We also have 1 teaspoon of salt and 1 tablespoon of cinnamon. Now I use a heaping tablespoon of cinnamon just because I like a little more cinnamon on these. If you don't like cinnamon as much, you don't have to use as much, or if you like it a whole lot more, you can always add some more in there. So we're just gonna mix this all up with our fork, breaking up that brown sugar because it likes to stick together. Get it all nice and incorporated. Make sure we don't have any pockets of granulated sugar left. All right, so we're gonna break up all of that brown sugar, get it all nice and mixed up. All right, then I'm gonna set that to the side. I'm gonna take my 4 cups of pecan halves, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take, this is the white of 1 egg, and I'm gonna pour it over the top of these, just in their bowl, and scrape it out with my spatula. Make sure I get all of that egg white, and I'm just going to toss it about just a little bit, just to kind of help coat those pecans before I actually throw them into the sugar mixture. So just to help get them a little bit coated, and you could do this in a separate bowl, give yourself a little more stirring room, but I don't like to do too many dishes, so I like to keep it all in one container if I can, or in as few containers as possible. All right, and it's not going to be perfect, and that's okay. It'll mix up as we get further along. So now that I've got those fairly coated with the egg white, I'm going to go ahead and dump them in. Again, making sure I get all the goodie out of that bowl onto the sugar concoction. And then I'm just going to toss them. Just toss it about, trying to get all of those pecans coated. We still have some egg white running around there, and that's perfectly fine. The more we stir it, the more it'll get mixed with that sugar, and then it'll start sticking to those pecans. Make sure you're going under the bottom, because as you can see, I still have a lot of the sugar mixture down here. So we want to make sure we get way down deep and flip it all the way over, so that we don't have any sugar left down in the bottom by itself. We want it covering all of those pecans there. And while we're doing this, our oven is preheating to 350 degrees because we've got a nice warm oven ready for these to go right into. Oh, look at them. They're all nice and coated in that sugar. Dry sugar pockets down here in the bottom. Nope, that's all looking oh, there's one, see? Gotta make sure we keep turning it over. Gotta get all of that mixed in. Cover up those pecans really nicely, because that's the goodie that makes them so awesome. Dude, we can run through these really fast. It's only my husband and I, but still, we can run through these really quick once they're just sitting here on the counter. All right, so now I'm gonna take my baking sheet, and I've lined it in parchment paper to make things a little easier to come up. And I find parchment paper is a little easier than foil, just because foil, it can sometimes stick to it, and that the sugar mixture can sometimes crystallize on that foil, and it makes it really hard to peel the pecans off sometimes. So I prefer the parchment paper, and I use parchment for anything. So I just buy a big roll of it, and I have it for pretty much everything that I put in the oven. Get some parchment paper with it. But if you don't have any on hand, foil will always work. That works too. So I'm just gonna lay these out, kind of spread them around, try to get them fairly even as one layer as possible. It's not gonna happen all the time. Then I'm going to throw these in the oven. I'm going to give them about 5 or 7 minutes to bake. Then I'm going to pull them out and I'm going to stir them up. And then I'm going to throw them back in. And I'm going to bake them, depending on your oven and all, anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. Just depending on how it's going. Just keep an eye on them. You don't want them to burn. You'll definitely start smelling them when they get ready. So I'm going to pause here, throw these in the oven, and I'll be back when it's time to stir them up. Alright, so it's been about 5 minutes in the oven with these guys, and as you can see, they're starting to turn a little bit of a white color. So I'm going to go ahead and just stir these around because their tops are starting to cook. They're starting to crystallize, but the bottoms, as you can see, are still really quite gooey. So I'm just going to turn these over, mix them up, move them around just a bit to make sure that they're cooking evenly as we go through this. And I'll do this about 10 more minutes or so, and then check on them again if they're not completely done. I'll stir them up again and throw them back in there until they're nice and dry. There shouldn't be any of the ooey gooiness left on them when they're finished. They should be nice and coated and have a nice little crisp layer of sugar over them when they're done. So I'm going to go ahead and pop these back into the oven, and we'll see them when they're done. Alright, so it's been about 12-13 minutes since the last time. I'm going to stir these guys up. They all look pretty good and dry. They look really nice. I'm going to leave them here on this tray to cool. And then they're good to go. You could actually eat them now, but careful, they'll be a little hot. But yeah, I'm just going to let them cool here on the tray. And then they're good to go. Serve them up on top of pie with a cup of coffee, just as a nice little dessert, and enjoy. Thank you for watching.